Doc here. Doing a few dozen things at once, as usual. All right, let's see what we got going here for Dukascopy webinars. There it is. Click on that, and we'll be able to hear us. Excellent. There we go. And let's see, what do we need to do here? We need to remove all that robot stuff. That's all that is robot stuff. And let's get the Euro up there, unless someone has anything particular they want to see, and we'll start right with that. Yesterday, someone was saying to me, it was the Daniel and Doc show. Yes, it was. Daniel was cashing in. Hey, look, when you have the opportunity, ask any questions you want, and as many. Remember, it's cheaper by the dozen. All right, let's find the Euro this morning here, right there. 1564. So I guess it's pretty much unchanged. Let's see what that really shows. Yeah, just pretty much unchanged. That's what it's looking like there. And you can see here on our work. Let's see, there it is right there. There we go. Just a little, yeah, just basically unchanged. Lots of green dots, lots of green bars here. Fast moving stochastics moving up nicely. Rate of change is trying to catch up, and you can see that it's piercing now the slow moving stochastic. And as you can see, let's see if we do it like this. Do I go like that? I can move that over a little bit like that. And then move that over like, let's see, can we move that over like that? I think we can, right? Yeah, there we are. There we go. And so what you see there on the fact check sheet is line 14, 9 weeks in a buy, 7 days in a buy. So up, up, and away. Our beautiful, beautiful balloon. All right. And is there anything else I want to say about the Euro besides, I guess they're still trying to figure out how to spend that $2 trillion they want to spend. So that's usually the way it plays out in the end. You know, I mean, that's what really is the confusion. How do we spend that $2 trillion? I know that they spent like supposedly like 4 nights working last week. And you know, Draghi was very good. Christine Lagarde has issues. She can't show her face to some extent. I mean, she is, hey, Daniel. Yeah, they were saying it was the Daniel Doc show yesterday. It's like, good. Somebody should join in and ask questions. That's what it's all about. What did we discover yesterday? Usually we end up discovering something when we get enough questions. It's kind of like one of those mathematical theories where X amount of input derives X amount of output, and that does it. Dio Rock. What's happening, Rock? Yo, Rock. I like that name, Dio Rocks. Like in geology. Cool. Euro, yeah, 125? I don't know. Let's take a look at it and see if we can figure out, does it have the potential to get to 125? I mean, obviously it does to some extent, but do you have a time frame, or are you just thinking like, you know, will it get there over the next year or so? Or you can see, what was it, back in 17 we were there. See that right there? And it was a real hesitation up there, wasn't it? So now that we've broken out of a few of these highs and gone higher highs, let's see a high. I got a Euro at 107 May 15th within the next 4 months. Wow, that would be one heck of an explosion. I guess where's the dollar at? Let's take a look at, I don't look at the dollar very well. Let's look at the dollar index, and let's take a look at the metals. Because yesterday we were saying that maybe they're selling, you know, let's see if we can figure out if that's what we're really seeing. So we go over to the metals, and that is the S&P. And there's silver. Silver's being brought down a little bit right there. Let's see where gold is. I would imagine the key to your 125 is us seeing more buying in the metals, and I would think that might be our the thing to watch for is if we're getting more buying in the metals, maybe you will see the 125. So in other words, you know, you need to see like 1950 probably on the gold or something like that. I'm holding long for the new SEDO. Why not more in the 30s? Oh, I have no idea. I mean, I don't look at it that way. We do have some tools. Normally we don't look at it that way, but we do have some tools to try to look out further. Okay, so let's dissect those. That's good, because we don't usually do that here. What we do is we just watch the weekly and the daily direction and leave it at that. But since you asked, let's see if we can figure that out. I don't understand the metal correlation. Notice that the metals are lifting, the dollar is dropping. So what it is it's a substitute. Remember, we're really like in a very solid, or let's put it this way, we're in a very consistent trend of let me try that again. We're in a consistent, what's the word I'm looking for? We're like in a channel. The central banks are trying to keep currency pairs in a continuity. In other words, they're trying to keep it inside a room. They're trying to keep it all in a room. They're keeping it all in a basket. They want it to stay consistent. So in other words, dollar goes down, metals go up. Euro goes up, dollar goes down, dollar goes sideways, euro goes up, that type of thing. And then metals go down. They try to keep everything. I think I've been referring to it as, instead of pairs trades, it's a three-legged stool, and the third leg is a combination of dollar-denominated products. So you're saying that will the euro more close to the S&Ps? Will the dollar? So in other words, as the S&Ps go up, does the dollar go down? Well, that would make sense to me. That would be also being short dollars too at the same time, because imagine if you're buying from outside the United States and you buy the stocks, but you don't do it in dollars. That makes you short the dollars. So I think that what we need to see is more strength in the metals to get to your 125. That's what I'm thinking. And at the same time, you probably want to do some type of option things, sell like 5-month options out there in the 124.25 area, and buy the 110 puts, something like that. Try to hedge some of that. I don't know. It's a little bit hard. It's awful wide. It's one thing when you're looking for 117, 118, but when you're looking at another 10 points up, that is a challenge. That is a real challenge to. Well, in this case here, it's 9 points higher, so it makes it very hard to set up, a logical option thing to lock in your 107. And the question then really is that with the strength we're seeing in the metals, we shouldn't even see 107 again. At least not over the next couple of months. It should stay firm. I would think that. So my inclination, just off the top of my head, with the action that we're seeing, and with my belief that they try to keep everything contained inside a box or a channel or some type of bubble. They want to keep it all contained. So to me, the more you see consistent strength in the metals, I mean, not every day up, just not making new lows type of thing. Lower lows. Instead, higher highs and higher lows. As long as we keep on seeing that consistency there, you have a better chance of seeing 125. I think that's possibly the way it goes. Gold 1900. Yeah, I would think. We're at 76 now, something like that. Let's go to Dukascopy and check out it on J4X. Yesterday they were trading it at parity with the pairs trade, which was not pairs trade, the carry trade, which was really nice. Very impressive, which means that there's not a lot of problems with supply and demand, which is a real good thing. Someone's creating liquidity. That's what that comes down to. So this movement is a blessing by the central banks in many ways. So there's spot trading at 1877, and as you can see right there, pretty much the same price for the futures contract, and even less actually. It should be discounted, and it is. So it's saying that there's liquidity in the metals, and that liquidity could help move it further to the 1900 to the 1950 that type of thing. So that would be the way I'm looking at it. Now, when it comes to actually looking for 1900, let's see, where are we on the product? Okay, so there, it's still lifting up in here. We had a couple red dots, but overall, it was in a buy when they were generated, so it didn't matter. And you can see here, it's just pushing, higher and higher. Right, let's see, right there. You can see that right there. It's pushing higher in there, and you can see it here. Same situation at the top end of the range. Is that right? Yeah, that's the top end of the range. So, what we want to see is for your 125, we need to see it sit. We need to see that thing basically sit at this area here. Not make too much of lows. Hang in the 1850s and 60s area, that type of thing. And that could force even more expediency. I kind of want to say that we probably saw the expediency in the metals just recently, in the last 48 hours. These two big moves in silver says a lot, and so I would think that they'll digest in here. But if they hold these lows and these lows in here, right there, that probably says a lot about it getting closer to the 20 area in the euro. And then when it gets up into the 20s, like 21, you could go and sell something like the 26 calls or the 24 calls and buy like the 17 puts or something like that, and create a collar and try to lock in that range in case some particular reason things get whacked. I don't know. I kind of doubt it at the moment. It's a summertime. I don't find I'm impressed that it's going up like this in the summertime. It seems like we're having the metals rally and the dollar sell-off, which is kind of nice. Our dollar is just way, 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 way too strong. It's been flying on the upside there. I hope I helped you there, Rock. We'll see what we can come up with. We will look at that, and I think there's some other things we can do to try to see what we can do is we can see if it's on the right course to get up into the 20s. I'll work on that, play around with it for tomorrow. Because I need to go into another machine and let me do that. Let me just take a quick look on the other machine. I can't get I guess I could try to. I don't want to try to screen share this in, but I do want to just for the sake of it, I'd like to look at it. My guesstimate is that we can look and see how well it's doing, and if it's on course for higher highs. I do have a math that does that, but like I said, I rarely ever look. Let's see, September is the crazy time. Yeah, I imagine it. It definitely. Well, money comes. People are off of vacation. If the markets have made dramatic moves in some direction, money chooses one or the other. If it's overbought, they try to sell it hard. If it's not, remember, buying in September and selling in May, or buying in October and selling in May, or buying in November, basically September, October, and selling in May is a major winner statistically. Okay, so it does. People always look for the big lows in September. Sometimes it can come in August. In this case here, it looks like it's trying to come in July. So that's a possibility also. Remember, this July, August time period, the last couple of weeks of July, first couple of weeks in August, is kind of like a homogenized period. Sometimes they can build lows out of it, go test the lows of August, make a new low in the test the highs of July, make a low in August, and then take off. And then people are waiting for selling in September. And what it really is that the lows of September and October are fantastic buys. Now the question is, does it go sideways? Do we really go into any lows? Does it just keep on climbing? I mean, we just saw a major. Let me give you a good example of what Doc is thinking about and what we talk about in the webinar here. Let's look at J4X. J4X is really good to do this with. All right, here is gold. Now that distortion right there from the Corona situation, bringing gold down into the 14s, is giving the energy to bring it up, up higher into the 19s. That's Let's do that. Matter of fact, I should do this as a weekly too. Let's do this as a weekly. And so that's what we've been talking about here in the webinar for weeks now. We've been very bullish on the metals because we thought that the selling was a distortion, and that distortion, let's see, here it is right there, and that distortion here, right there, just right there, that distortion, is that being seen? What's going on here? Yeah, you can see that, right? Is that it? No, you're missing something here. Let's see. I see what I have to do. I'll go like this and move it over like that. There it is. And so that distortion right here back in March is an influence that's driving this thing up. And the same thing happened in silver, even worse. In silver, they drove this, the distortion was so bad that, we talked about how hard it's going to be to get into the mid-20s, but it's doing it. That distortion there is so bad, it took it all the way back to something like 2009. That's just a, that's an imbalance. That creates an imbalance. Let's see. So if you open monthly chart, euro and dollar, you will see it. Yeah, I hear you. That's exactly what I need to do, is to put my math into the monthly and try to get a projection. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm putting the pass keys into being able to see that. Let's see, let me just try that again, because I'm talking. There we go. Let's see if we got it logged in. And the answer to that is, looks like it. Yep, it's logging in. Okay, good. So that's what's overbalancing this in many ways, and we've talked about that. That 1171 was extremely ridiculously low, and it just showed you that because of that low, it imbalanced the box that the central banks try to keep everything in, and what it's doing is now it's giving it energy to go higher, and that's what we're seeing there. We've been talking about that in the webinar now for weeks. See, Daniel says, you said that the September-May cycle, is that for equities? Yeah, for equities. Or for metals? No, for equities. We had the lows in June from there on its rally, right? And what we may see is a test here. We're not going to see the lows. We're not seeing those tests of lows. All we're seeing, what we could do is see a lower low of the last 3 months. Here, I'll show you. I'll point it out instead of describing it, but I will describe it at the same time. So yeah, that distortion there is setting up the strength for it to go after this area here. And as this goes after, it's imbalancing the currency pairs. And so even the cable is trying to make its move. Let's just take a quick look at cable. We saw what the euro looked like, but let's just just a quick flash of it. And there is the cable, and the cable's doing the same thing. It's trying to make its move in the same fashion, and probably going after these highs up in here in the, or at least those lows of the 128, 129, with the highs of 131, 132, and I'd imagine it'll join in with the euro because of that distortion. There is some fundamentals actually that have some influence, not a lot, but some. Now let's go back to what I'm talking about there with the lows and the stocks. We'll put a stock market index up there. So in other words, that would be one of the keys to watch, is how it fails to make a big low, but just a low, and that's what I'm talking about. Let's see if I can. I'm going to point it out to you. Not if I can, I will point it out to you. So let's use the S&P 500 as an example, because you can forget about the Tech 100. The Tech 100 is just making new all-time highs for a few different fundamental reasons, and at the same time, asset inflation. Those two things are really having an effect on it. Let's see, S&P. There's the S&P. So, yeah, and statistically what happens is that those lows of September or October are always a major success. So here's this distortion in the weekly chart for the S&P 500. So the best I would ever expect to see now is lows in the 3,000s. That's about as, if it made a new low there, that would make me a little bit more curious. At this point, it seems to be the other way around. It's going to keep on pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. So That's the distortion. This whole distortion right here, in balance, that box that the central banks like to keep everything in. They have a box. They want to keep it all in a channel. And they and you hear Mnuchin say it, our Secretary of Treasury, every so often, like, oh yeah, what country is not manipulating their currency even when it looks stronger than it should be. They have a box. They have a channel that they have all set up. You can see they're trading with some mythology behind it. They're not just like, a lot of people like to write, oh, they're just creating money out of thin air, and they're, one of the traders that is, constantly in communications with, who's much older than I am, sent a really good article over about the creation of money if purchasing the right objects with it is not inflationary. And that's an interesting thought right there. So, metals normally would be an inflationary indicator, but I don't see them as an inflationary indicator at this point in time. What I see them more as a surrogate for the dollar. And so they're trying to sell our central bank wants our dollar lower in value. That would increase purchasing and manufacturing. And that's what that's all about. The same thing why they do the lower euro. They're hoping to, instigate purchasing and investing, but the laws and the structure of the European Union is taking that part away. It makes it harder for it to happen. All right, what do we got here? So that's where we are with this. Now, we go back to the euro, and we look at the euro the same way. Right there. And for it to make the 125s, it does have, an area there. It has an area there. It's taking out this high now, and that's the 125. Well, that's the 123s. I would imagine 123s would be, the beginning of a success more than the 125s. All this up in here. How high did that get to? Oh, I guess that's 125, isn't it? Okay, yeah. So this area here, between 123 and change and 125. That would be the logic of it all. So just keep an eye on the metals. Make sure that they're not getting crushed on any particular way, and you'll know it. You'll feel it in your P&L with your euro. You'll see it going down in value. So I hope that answered it, and I will go and look. I will put the math to it. We'll go after it tomorrow. I don't really want to put the math up on the screen here, so I'll take a look at it, and then I will show you the points where I figure is a good pathway to your 125. And it'll, and if we get to this level, it's confirming it. If it supports this level, it's confirming it, and so forth. The statistical confirmation more. Like, it's kind of like a quantum mechanic type thing. And so only a better. So that's what we'll do for tomorrow. I'll go find those numbers, put them together, and we'll do that. And there we are. Anybody else have any other questions? You guys, you're allowed to ask as many questions as you want. Rock or Daniel, you're welcome to jump into whatever it is. And what we'll do is we'll try to put that math together for you tomorrow on TGIF. And that'll be a fun thing to do, actually. And I'll put a monthly chart up and show you what targets we should be going after. Speaking of which, let's just take a look at a monthly for the euro. Yeah, and even monthly there too. You can see it again, the 125s. So, and you can see how it's been. It's been making lower lows. Well, that did not, but then it made a lower high and trapped it into a triangle, and then it broke the triangle from there. So, and it was a 7. Is that a 1? Is this the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? It could have been a 7. Yeah, and then it failed. Now, that's a very odd-looking triangle to begin with, but then it went and broke that base. I guess that's not it right there. So the lows are right there, and it did not break that low. Interesting. I know that 54, I think, was convinced that we were going to see that low taken out. And so, and then at the same time, how does the dollar? This is what started 54 in me on that thought pattern. That was, what does October and November look like? Remember, you're looking at a general election here in the United States for the presidency. So that alone is going to instigate some real craziness. We did see in the GBP JPY the continuity that we see in the action. It doesn't really predict the direction of the elections, but what it does is, I guess if it stays firm, it may represent success for Trump. I think that's the way we're looking at it. Let's just take a look at that. But there's a presidential cycle with that thing. Here it comes. Here it comes. Let's see. So it's trying to turn up a little bit in here, but nothing yet. I'd imagine when you look at this, there's 16. You know, played its way down. Trump won. It started bottoming when it realized Trump was probably going to win. Money usually knows ahead of time. And then, let's see, 2012, when it knew that Obama was going to win, it kept the continuity again. So I'd imagine, as long as we see this thing climbing again, that would be the answer to that. And then I think we went back to 2008, and you see the bounce from it, I guess. That's it right there. And then kept on rolling down. I'm not sure what that's all about, but the presidential elections, there's 2004, and Bush got elected again. So the continuity of an administration. I think that's what this really tells us more than anything else, is the continuity of an administration. That's how I interpreted it the first time. So we were thinking, I think Janos and I said something about that. Janos was saying one day on the chat line about that. I would probably say stay with that trend of thought. As long as we see some green and consistency in the GBP JPY pair trade, it seems to follow the presidential election administration continuity situation. So in other words, re-election, getting re-elected. And I think that's what it will. And then you can see in 12, you know, it seemed to follow through again like that. Now, is that a weaker dollar? Could that be a weaker dollar in the end? I'm not sure. I'm not really sure. I think they want the dollar to be sideways. They want the dollar to be sideways and down. That's what they want. And that's what a lot of traders want. We want to see our economy. Look, we're the engine of the world. We don't have much of a choice about that. It just is what it is. And so we need a strong economy to lift the world up. Without a strong economy, we're not able to pick up the world as easily. So, and even then, you got all these regulations and government policies of foreign countries that are counterproductive to growth. So it takes a lot of a challenge to get things moving along. I mean, when's the last time you saw a socialist nation lift their country out of poverty? Honestly, all they do is just create a status quo. So, all right, where are we at here? So I guess what we're doing is we're looking at that whole premise, and I guess we can jump over to the Turkish lira now at this point. Let's just see what that's doing. That's dollar, Turkish lira. Again, there's one. It seems to be a total enigma of late. Let's just make the daily there. That is an enigma in its own right. I think a story is going to come out that is going to explain it in the end. And you can see there, we're starting to get some green there now. We are, where are we? We are 17, right? Yeah. So we're 1 day in a buy and 33 weeks in a buy. Now let's see what it looks like on our Chicago Quant. Where are you? Go to Duke Day and Forex. Right there. That's an interesting looking day yesterday. Wow, they tried to sell it down, and that's impressive. Look at the way that was brought back up. You can see that right there. Let's get it over here. Look at the way that thing was brought back up. They tried to sell it down, and I mean, like, money just stepped up and just brought it back to the tight channel again. No idea. I guess what it was is this was the vote in Egypt, right? I guess the vote in Egypt to send troops to Libya to fight Turkey. Boy, you can't say that 3 times fast, can you? And so they sold it down, and then the geopolitics just something something supersedes the geopolitical situation. You know, some entity out there is actually propping this thing up very firmly. Wow, who else can do it but central banks, you know? I mean, even if it was Turkey doing this, they wouldn't have the ability. They don't have the finance to do this. There's no way in the world they have the finance to do that. That is truly a distortion that is very clear. And as you can see here, it's bottoming in here and trying to lift back up again. Whereas, same situation happened here. Quick little day sell and back up again. Let's see. Let's see what Canadian looks like. Now, the Canadian usually trends with this thing, which is really strange in its own right. I don't see the correlation at all, but I mean, what's the logic to it? Unless it's being orchestrated. Look at that. Now, that's just heading down. And that's line 20. And you can see there, 1 week in a sell, 6 days in a sell, so the pressure's been on there. And let's just take a look at it here, right there. Same situation. Matter of fact, what's curious, when you look at our work, that buy has a red dot, so it should have never been in a buy. That should have been a sell. So in other words, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, going on a 7th day on the downside. Not a what is it? Is it going on a 7th day? Maybe it is. Yeah, I guess it is. See, I fill these numbers in. I'm not really paying attention to them. I just follow the math and put it in. And so that's why sometimes I'm surprised when I'm reading my own spreadsheet. It's because I just fill the numbers in and go. Look, I'm a limited trader. I trade limited things. In other words, I'm trying to be focused doing other things at the same time, doing a lot of math and a lot of science and a lot of a lot of different things. So programming, all kinds of wonderful things. There we go there. So that's the Canadian. Now you would assume with it going down, the oil would be up. And we really do. Now I throw the caveat out there. We think the oil is part of that third leg with the metals. So in other words, it's used as a surrogate also. And so we would expect this to be firm or up. And this is showing that. And then let's just take a look at it through the I guess it's September now we're in. Let's see what the SEP crude oil looks like. Right there. There's the SEP crude. And you can see it was higher today and now it's down a little bit. And you can see the daily wants to roll over. It's trying. We'll see. There doesn't seem to be a lot of conviction, but we'll see. And our weekly is still in a buy, as you can see down below. So everything is kind of firm. Again, it's the summer. It's supposed to be slow. You can see here this is trying to roll over and piercing the slow-moving stochastic. And this showing still the strength in the greens there. You see, Daniel says the dollar CAD 3 to 5 for sell. Yeah, let's see, 3 to 5 to sell. And then the Swiss against the dollar, and then the dollar against the yen looks neutral. Can we go both ways? Yeah, we could. Can we look at all of them? Sure. So dollar CAD, 3 to 5 for a sell. I'm not sure what that means though. What's 3 to 5 for a sell? So let's just go back to the CAD for the 3 to 5 to sell. In other words, how much it might stay in a sell? Right there. So it's trying to press down. And did I put the Canadian up on the screen here? I did, didn't I? I just want to look at it again. How about if we just go to Duke Day and we'll find it there. Yeah. So yeah, see it. So okay, so it's trying to lift up. It made lows today and then lifted up. So 3 to 5. Okay, so 3 to 5 for sell. Then look for euro and GU for sell. I'd give 4 to 5. Oh, 4 to 5 out of, I see, percentage wise, yes. And then 3 to 5 or 4 to 5 is making my rating when I analyze trading ideas. Okay, yeah. I get you. I like that. That makes sense. Yes. Yeah, that fits my scenario numbers. I like that because I'm at 8.5 out of 10. So I do 1 through 10. So that makes sense. I just expand that. So that's 6 out of 10, 8 out of 10. Yeah, exactly. 4 out of 5, that type of thing. Yeah, I'd imagine oil is going to stay sideways solely because the couple trillion from the what do you call those guys? The European Union trying to figure out how to stimulate the American economy, trying to get out of this crazy malaise that they this crazy malaise that the blue state governors are doing. They're trying to keep the country closed until after the election. And then after that, they're going to be paying the piper, I can tell you that much. The silent majority, I think, is going to come in and just crush them. Just crush them. All right, now let's take a look at Swiss right there. And Swiss is line 21 right there. And it's 8 weeks in a sell and 4 days in a sell. So we put it up here. Right there. Still rolling down. And you can see it here rolling down. Same situation. Let's see, do we do this? Will it do this? Let's see if it does this. I got the wrong mouse. Let's try this mouse. Yeah. So it's still rolling down. Look at that. You see the white line has no, it's bounced. See, that's trying to catch that curve thing. Same thing's happening there. But a lot of red dots, a lot of red bars. Down at the bottom of the range, these two are curved over. It does have that look of more value, constantly more value. Let's see. It's possible for the dollar to get strength both versus the euro and gold, the Swiss franc, etc. We've noticed that Swiss looked awful strong. It's looking awful strong as the dollar is backing off, which is smart. So money's probably pouring in there a little bit. That would make sense to me. Let's see if we can put the dollar ETF up there. Right there it is. See, it's in a downwardly slope, the dollar index itself. And I think we're in a sell again, aren't we? No, we're 2 weeks in a buy again. We went into the buy, but we're going to look at that. We are, I'm not sure what that is. Oh, okay. So that is, let's see if we can fix this. What will do it? Let's try this. So there's 17th, right? The 17th was, did we go into a sell and I missed it? No, I think that's, what is that? That is, what's the 17th? The 17th is -4 and -8. So it went into a sell. It's not in a buy. Right there. It's in a sell. See, I don't really watch the dollar. And let's fix that on the sheet too. And so do that and one, and so it's really, see, that's how I get in trouble there too. Look at that. I'm trying to remove one and I end up something else in there. There it is right there. So the dollar index is really in a sell. And you can see the trend has been down. You can see way over here. You can see it's been in a trending down, having its issues. I think we were 7 weeks in a sell at one point. Then we went into a buy for a few weeks. Yeah, like that one there. And I guess maybe that's where it really went into the buy for a week or so, and then right back into the sell again. I don't know. I think if I've been saying this for months now, I really do think that dollar's going down and the pairs are going up, and it's taking a lot of work for the pairs to go. But lately, the last couple days and last week or so, the pairs are really taking off, and that's pretty cool. It's possible the dollar to get strength, but let's see. So DX on futures or DXY and dollar on Dukascopy. Oh, let's try that. DXY? Okay. Let's see on Dukascopy. I put up the euro though. Let's try that again. DXY. Let's see, DX. SGBP index, Nifty 50. What am I? Aussie index. What's that? That's Switzerland index. Chile dollar. There it is. Good job there, Daniel. Yeah, same gig. They're the same thing. Let's see if we can do this. Let's pull this down. See, they're the same thing. That's where they line up like that. Except for a lot of that green dottish stuff going on. And then breaking down here again. Interesting. And that matches that very easily. And then it gets sloppy in here. Yeah, I don't see anything but a move down. 96. I keep on thinking we're going to see like 92 or, I don't know, 90, 93, 89. Go somewheres there. When's the last time it was down there? Okay. The crazy March thing drove it down into that area. And then back in last summer. This is just daily. Let's go to a weekly. So it only goes back on this product to 2018. I wonder what a monthly does. And just 218. Let's just do the weekly for a second here. So, I would think that we'd try to find, well, what's that? That is the 87, 88, 89. Let's see, what's that? What does that do? If the dollar goes down like that, does that makes our bonds cheaper, right? So it increases our yield. So as it's cheaper to buy dollars, you're able to buy more bonds for the amount of equity that you have. So that would be a way of helping the world out, right? That makes sense. There's like I said, I think everything is kept in some type of structure, price structure. So it's all on a price structure, like in a box, and they're trying to keep everything in a range, and they're trying to keep everything consistent, and they don't want any panics, and they want like a calmness. So the dollar's been sliding down. Then look at it. Then it exploded from the crazy from there, and now look at it. It's here. Look at these things. These are the crazy distortions. That's not logical type of trading. And so, this is people trying to get out of positions or getting into positions that, closing positions. Basically, that's what it looks like. Closing positions. So they're trying to get out, be it a short or a long or whatever. But it's definitely a distortion. And the size must have been horrendously big, just horrendously big. And so I'd imagine that, eyes will be watching this 93 area, which obviously feeds the rocks attitude of trying to get up to the 125s in the euro. So that would, a lot of that would make sense to me. What else? else we got brewing here? So I guess that's cool with the dollar index. We'll have to remember that. Now, we were looking at Swiss. Let's look at the yen. It was really on the edge last night on getting into a buy, I think. I remember thinking, wow, that's like just one or two ticks would have done it. And that is line 19? Yeah, 19. Yeah, 15 days in a sell. You got to figure that maybe it wants to get into a buy again. Even within the weeklies. And let's take a look at it there. Sometimes that's my simplistic way of looking at everything. Just how long it's been in something in one trend. There it is right there. Yeah, see, it tried to get in there, but it was red and green. That's what it was. So we had... No, we don't want anybody scanning right now. Don't scan. Go away. Shoo fly. Close. All right, and so right there, you can see it tried to get into the buy, but failed because of the red and the green. And today it's just sideways down. That's it. Nothing sideways. Pretty much sideways action. And you can see here doing pretty much the same thing, trying to lift, but then the fast-moving stochastic's moving down, and the rate of change in the slow stokes is moving up. So it's really trapped. It doesn't have much strength in there. A lot of dead channel, a lot of dead sideways. This was kind of interesting. A nice little slide here and then a nice little lift here, and then it's become even more dormant. All right. So there's that. All right, now let's move over to, let's look at NASCAD. I guess that's probably seeing strength, right? Because of the oil being firm, or at least flat. You can see 9 weeks in a buy and 4 days in a buy. And since the Canadian is down, in other words, it's going down in price, which makes it more expensive. Let's see, NASCAD. Where are you, NASCAD? There it is. There it is, NASCAD. Right there. Yeah, still showing some strength in there, but on ours, notice that it's got a little down thing going already. So, and this is rolling over. But we're still, is that white or green? What is that? It's white. Okay, so it's starting to head into that neutral to roll over. And oil's sideways down anyway. So and there's not a lot of conviction there. Again, it is the summer, so traders, you have to be cautious out of all this stuff there. All right, look. Oh, let's we did the metals, but let's look at them a little bit closer now. And that's let's go first. Let's do oil. Let's do the oil. We didn't really do the oil. We just spun by the oil. Let's actually take a look at the oil. There it is right there. It's a little bit higher than when we tuned in before. I think it was 53 before. Now it's 62 was offered. Yeah, that's it right there. And it's trying. It is, I think that's still plus. You can see that the one is 0, 0, 0. The other one is 0, 0, 1. It's just hanging in there by the thread of its chinny chin. Let's see if we widen this. No, not that one. It's that one. So it's right on the edge. It's still plus. It's trying to hold up in there. Let's see, what's today? Thursday, right? So I guess there's the natural gas report, something like that, of inventories. I don't know. Yesterday was the bigger one, and it didn't have much of an effect, obviously. Whereas I think it was last week. Was it last week or 2 weeks ago? Maybe that's what it is. It's like at the end of June, the demand was much higher than anybody expected on a Wednesday. Is that Wednesday? That's Monday. Are they front running it? Is that the Wednesday? That's a Monday also. They seem to take this thing up on Mondays, don't they? What's that? That's a 14th, 13th. Yeah, that's a Monday also right there. That's a Tuesday maybe. It's a Tuesday. So, maybe it was last week. What was that? That's Friday, right? Yeah. There was some type of report that really not some. I know what it was. There was a report for the Wednesday inventory. It expanded it very dramatically. In other words, there was a lot of demand. So as much as you hear about all these tankers with oil in it, obviously they're askew, I guess you could say in some ways, to the world demand. So they're a skew number, really. As much as everybody wants to say, well, there's 3 million barrels floating out there, or 50 million barrels out there. Don't we use 80 million barrels a day or 100 million barrels a day? I don't know, something like that, right? How many barrels a day I'm going to Google that. That's something I want to know. How many barrels a day does the world use of oil? That alone tells me that that it only has one day of supply on the water, that's not enough to keep everybody happy. Let's see, how many barrels of oil used in world a day? Let's see what it says here. 97 million. Okay, so the world consumes, what's that, 35 billion? I guess that's what it is, barrels of oil a year in 2016, equivalent to 97 million barrels a day. So if they have, when they say there's like 50 million barrels floating around in the sea, I wonder let's see if there's a stat for that. How many barrels of oil a day in tankers? 20 million barrels. Tankers moving America forward economy. Let's see. Demands of daily lives. We require more than 20 million barrels of petroleum product a day. Yeah, so, as crude oil held in sea storage hits near record, 160 million. That's a day, and it's less than 2 days of inventory. So, I guess something bigger would have to really freak everything out. Hey, Quad Z. Thank you. 100 million. Yeah, I appreciate that. Installed capacity is approximately about 150 million. Yeah, I'll tell you, I don't know if we ever, not me, but I mean just the world in general, do we really, our traders, as traders, do we really read the oil numbers correctly? When you really think about it. I mean, imagine if there's 160 million sitting out in tankers. And how do you know that some of those tankers are not in the route of delivery? But if we're using 100 million a day, you would think that a billion out there on the sea would mean something more than, in other words, I think we're undervalued, aren't we? Really? When you really think about it, just a day and a half supply floating around. That's it. It seems like an awful damn small number, I don't know. In my head, that seems to be small. But anyway, yes, that's what's going on there. And then when we go and look at the metals again, gold's come down off a couple dollars since we last looked at it earlier in the webinar. But in the end result is that I don't think that they're going to sell this thing down hard. No doubt that all of us are thinking about pushing some silver out the door, with it up in the 23s, that's for sure. Physical. Get rid of some physical. Physical. What else is there to be said about all this? I guess nothing else. Do we have a name? What do we name this webinar today? Do we have a name for the webinar? What did we do today? We really looked at the dollar index. And we were looking at the dollar and its relationship to everything from oil to yen to Swiss. So I guess what we could do is we could really call this more weakness in the dollar. I want to, that's where my head is at. I think the dollar has more weakness ahead. How about something like the dollar riding the downslope, I really think that that's what we're really seeing too. And that gives me, you know, I mean, that's really the flavor of it all. Let's see. The title will be, let's see, dollar week. Dollar week ride ahead. I'm saying, nah, that's a little too convoluted. Dollar in firm down trend. How's that? That's good. I think that does it. Let's see, Daniel. Dip to buy on the dollar? Nah. Or continued dollar weakness? I think down. I mean, look at the chart. Let's just go back to that one more time. Let's see if I can get. I want to get that Dukascopy one up. Let's see, DX. Now that I've done that, it'll do it. DX. There it is, right there. No, I think the overall trend is down. I think the administration wants it down. They want it. They want buyers to. Trump's a real estate guy. He wants people to come into America and buy some of his properties. He's a real estate guy. The crude is a net surplus supply in the grid. Yeah, yes, exactly. But when you really think about what's backing it up, you know, just 160 million barrels, it's a day and a half of inventory. That doesn't exactly sound overly abundant. You know what I mean? I'm not sure what would stop the producers from producing, but it doesn't sound like overly abundant. All right, we're out of here. Traders, have a good day. We will talk to you tomorrow. Arrivederci. It is TGIF coming up, and for some of you, it's already there. So. Happy trails to you until we meet again.